Hey again guys, what's up? It's Walt Morris with Dan Wilson. Welcome back to the channel. And today's video, I thought I'd take a few minutes and show you guys a few pointers about changing out your guitar strings. If you happen to be a guitar player or maybe a new guitar student. And it's very important to change strings every so often because they will get dulled out after a while. These strings have been on this guitar for probably a little over a year. It's about time to change them out. And you can always take your instrument to a local music store and pay somebody else to do this for you. But my question is, why waste your money? You can do this yourself quite simply and easily. I'll show you guys a few do's and don'ts, or at least the way I do things when I change out guitar strings. A few basic tools we're going to be needing. This right here is called a peg winder, just in case you don't know. Has a little slot there on the end that goes right on the tuning peg. I'll see if I can get this over here to the camera and show you guys, just like that. See that fits on there? Just take that and wind it around, kind of like that. It spins around there. On the very end right here, it has an end pin puller, a little notch right here. This is for pulling out the end pins right down here. So we go to change our strings out, we've got to pull our end pins out. That's what that little tool right there is for. Of course, we want to loosen the strings up first, of course. Here's one I bought a while back. It has basically the same functions. Has the slot for the tuning peg and also the end pin puller. This one is designed to go in like a cordless drill or something like that, and I hate it. I've tried that only about once, and sometimes you can accidentally over tighten your strings way too much, maybe even causing the break. So that one I'm not real crazy about using. Another thing we're going to need to be using, I'm a little bit old school, I guess. I still use the old-fashioned pitch pipe. Just blowing it like that. You can get the electronic tuners if you prefer that. I really prefer the pitch pipe because it provides better ear training in my opinion. And the electronic tuners are pretty accurate, but if you get spoiled to them, then sometimes you don't get the good ear training you can get with the plain old ordinary pitch pipe. So we'll get that back in this little case there. The little pointer, guys, is we don't want to just loosen up one string all the way. We want to do them a little bit at a time. I'm going to try very hard to get you guys a good shot of what I'm doing here. Kind of hard doing this with no camera operator or anything. What I usually do is take my low E string right here, give that about, let's go the other way, like this, 2 or 3 rounds. And it's best to alternate these. I'll jump here to the D string. Give that one a little crank down like that. Then we're going to go over here on our G string, loosen that one a little bit. Now we'll go to our high E right over here, drop that one down. Now back over to our A string right here, loosen that one down, and then finally back on our B string over here. And we'll just keep cranking them on down until they're loose. Now the strings are all floppy loose, you can see. Next step here, we're going to go ahead and pull our end pins out. And guys, one thing I tend to do is try to keep my end pins in order, and that's because I want to put the same pin back in the same hole that it came out of. So we got like 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just like that. We'll pull these out one at a time with our end pin puller like this. Comes out. Set that one over here somewhere. We'll try to keep these in order. Okay, of course that turns our string loose out of the hole there. Next one comes out on our A string, like that. A string is loose. And the D string. It's already getting blown around just a little bit, which is not the end of the world. Okay, and that one is still just a little tight. There we go. Pull the pin next on our G string. It's out. Next one out on our B string, still a little tight. Loosen, loosen, loosen. There we go. And finally our high E string. First comes off our low E string down here. It's going to unwind it, pull it right out of the hole, out of the little tuning peg right there on the end. Then we're going to roll these up because we're going to keep these for spares. In case we break a string, we can easily put one of the used ones back on there. Just give it a little loop like that, a little loop on the end like that. We'll put this back in the package that the new ones came out of here in just a little bit. We'll go ahead and get our A string. Next our D string comes off. Then the G string, we'll go ahead and get it unwrapped here. Now the B string. And finally our high E string comes off. Okay guys, well we have all the strings off the guitar. This is an excellent time to go ahead and polish it up. What I use for that, just ordinary furniture polish. What brand you choose is not super important. It's good to clean up your fretboard, other surfaces right there. So what we're doing with this procedure, guys, we're just going to spray this directly on the fretboard. Once I can get the spray out, there it goes. And we'll just do the top side here first. One thing I keep in my guitar case at all times, a very nice soft cloth. Very good for polishing. So your furniture polish not only makes the guitar look great, keeps it nice and shiny, it also helps preserve the wood, makes it last a lot longer. So on our fretboard, we're just going to go side to side like this. To get this down here, you guys can see it a little better. We get a lot of fingerprints, especially when we're out jamming during the summertime. We tend to sweat a little more than other times of the year. It leaves a lot of residue all over the guitar. We just want to clean it up good. Go ahead and spray some on the back side here. On the back side of the neck. You can already see how the guitar is starting to really shine up again. This little furniture polish on there makes a huge difference. Just finish wiping down here. I got a little more of it up in here to take care of. Guys, the reason I'm showing you this because when you have your strings off your guitar, that is the excellent time to do this when everything's out of the way. I'm going to wipe our fretboard down again. Guys, a couple items I failed to mention earlier that you're going to need is something to cut the excess string off, because these strings are made extra long for different lengths instruments, because all guitars are designed a little differently. You have some that have all the tuning pegs in a straight line, and so they provide a little extra string to accommodate that, but the excess has got to be cut off and removed. So a good pair of diagonal cutters like what I have here work extremely well. You can use regular wire cutters or whatever the heck you got, but you got to cut your excess string off. Another thing I've used for years, guys, this stuff right here called Kaiser String Cleaner. This is an excellent product. I highly endorse it. I use this after almost every session, whether in the studio, playing live, or whatever. And this stuff right here will extend the life of your strings at least 10 times over again. Just put a light amount of this on a soft cloth and just clean your strings up with it. Again, called Kaiser String Cleaner. I get most of my stuff from Musician's Friend, is a store that I've shopped with since about the early 1980s when they first went in business. But that's some good stuff right there. If you guys don't have any of this, you need to get some. You can go to musicianfriend.com. Another site I use once in a while called guitarcenter.com. There's lots of good music stores out there, but this is some good stuff. Now guys, in case you're curious, what I've been playing for the last several years are D'Addario guitar strings. I love them. These are phosphor bronze strings. I get the best results, I get the best sound, the best longevity. These strings right here are D'Addario's. The gauge that I've been playing for years is called EJ16. It's kind of a medium gauge, and these strings will outlast any other strings I've used that I can think of anyway. So there you go, D'Addario EJ16s, phosphor bronze acoustic. Another cool feature the manufacturers have started doing in recent years, hope you guys can see this stuff okay, Sometimes a little confusing about guitar string gauges and which one goes where. And if you'll notice on the very end right here, I'll get this up to the camera so you guys can see, hopefully, they started color coding the ends of the strings. Like the low E string is a bronze color. This is the A string. That is a kind of a red color. Then we move on up to our G and D string. Our D string is coded black, and our G string color coded green. Then last but not least, we have our B string and our high E string. Our B string color coded purple, and our high E color coded kind of a silver. So it makes it a lot easier. Another thing I'll mention you guys too is when you unroll these strings, be very careful. I've had these things go flying out and pop me in the eye a couple times. You just want to unroll them gently like that. Make sure your end just comes out loose like that. Keep it away from your face. Don't let it pop you in the face. So we're going to start with our low E string right here. Let's lay this one aside for the moment. Let's make sure we're getting this right. Low E is brass. Okay, there it is. Okay, if you guys remember from a little bit earlier, I was telling you I keep my end pins all in order. So right here is the one that came out of my low E string. What you want to do is put this ball end right in the hole right there. Keep it near the very top of the hole. And what you want to do, make sure your slot, if you look real closely in this end pin, there's a slot in there. That's for the string to rest in. You want to make sure that that's going against the string. Okay, and use your end pin to push the ball end down into the hole, just like this. Line it up, push it down just like that, a good firm push. Now we're going to pull our string up. I've been asked for a lot of years, how much string do we leave on our tuning peg? Well, on the low end strings, it doesn't need that much. About 2 or 3 good wraps on there is all it takes. One rule of thumb I learned a long time ago is pull that string up to the next tuning peg, like right about there, and that's where we're going to cut it. That's going to leave about an extra inch of string for the tuning peg. Okay, next guys, we're just going to run this into our tuning peg hole, just like that. We're going to leave about maybe quarter to half inch of string out at the end of the tuning peg. Pull it around. One thing I always do is take my finger and hold the string down like this. And believe me, I usually do this with the guitar laying down somewhere. What we want to do here is make sure the string wraps correctly around the tuning peg. So we're going to force it down like this. Then the string will pull itself up on the tuning peg and essentially tighten itself around the tuning peg. Just like this. You can see I'm getting a good wrap on that as far as I can tell anyway. And eventually I'll need to get my finger back a little farther like this. We're going to keep some tension on it. Just like that. That's wrapping up pretty good. Next we want to make sure the string gets up in the proper notch on our top nut, which is right here. We're going to pull this up. We got it a little too tight. Back it off just a little bit. Pull that up, make sure it goes right in that slot right there. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten just a little bit more. That's enough for now. One big pointer too, guys, is don't tighten like your first string. Oh, my tuning peg. I'm going to get a little problem here. Peg slipped out. That happens once in a while. Okay, hold that down. Not a big major problem. What happened there, guys, once in a while the end pin wants to pop up a little bit. You start to tighten. You just kind of hold your finger on it like that. Force it down in there. Once you get some tension on that string, it's going to stay put. I said a minute ago is don't tighten one string all the way up to full pitch. That puts too much stress on your neck. That'll cause the neck to possibly warp. So we're going to leave it just a little on the loose side for right now. Okay, and I'm going to stop camera and on the rest of them and show you guys a little more how we do this stuff. Okay guys, we're going to put the rest of the strings on just off camera, so I don't need to bore you guys with all that. It's pretty much the same procedure for every string. A couple little pointers is, when you do restring your guitar, you want to make sure, I know this may sound pretty elementary, but I've had a couple guitar students that really didn't understand how to change their strings out. So I go over some of the real basic stuff. I always make sure that the string is going toward the inside of the headstock, as you can see right here. Always, always, always. And make sure you wind them in the correct direction, which with the tuning peg here is clockwise is tighten, counterclockwise loosen. Pretty simple stuff, but make sure your strings go on the inside just like that. Another little tip on your high strings, on your B and E, make sure and leave a little bit of extra string because these tend to stretch a little easier. And I have had these a couple times I clipped them a little too short and they've actually pulled out of the tuning peg, and that's something you don't want to have happen. So as I mentioned before, on the lower strings like your E, A, D, and G, I'll just use the adjacent or the next upcoming tuning peg as a guide for where to cut the string. On these strings here on the end, I'll just go out here about an inch beyond the headstock like that, clip it off, and that's just about right. On your B and E strings, be sure and leave a little extra string on there so you get more of a wrap on it, okay? And for these, on the B string, I'll go out to about, say right about here, snip that off. High E string, I'll go to about the end of the headstock right here, snip it there. Okay, pretty basic stuff. Okay guys, once we restring the guitar, then guess what we get to do next? We got a tune. So, emphasized for a lot of years. I've been a guitar teacher for about 30 plus years now, had a lot of students over the years. And besides learning to play, you've got to learn how to tune, especially after changing strings. So right now it sounds like this. Oh, god awful horrible, I know. We use the old pitch pipe. Again, I'm old school. I do not use an electronic tuner. And for what my reasons are, I always tune my A string first. Don't ask me why. I've just done it that way for years. For right now, we're just going to get it close. Close enough for now. We're retensioning the strings, guys. We want to do each string not up to full pitch, but just little bits at a time. Okay. Next, we'll go over to the G string, give it a little tighten. Another thing too, guys, you go to retension strings, your end pins are going to want to right up a little bit. Just take your thumb or your finger, push them down, make them settle. Once that string gets tensioned up on there, they're going to stay put. Guys, I want to mention too, anytime you change your strings, and this applies to not just guitar, could be a fiddle, banjo, mandolin, whatever else. For the first few hours, these strings are going to stretch and stretch and stretch and stretch, and it will drive you crazy, retuning, retuning, and retuning. My best suggestion there is if you got a studio session coming up or a live show, once you restring, play, 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 and play till you get those strings broken in and settled in good, and make sure your end pins are settled in good and not popping out on you. Make sure all your tuners are tight and so on and so forth, and then just keep working them in. As you can tell, once the strings are in tune, what a difference it makes. Anyway guys, a little tidbit on changing out your guitar string, just some little do's and don'ts and little tips and pointers if you had to be a new guitar student or what the heck ever, and maybe you've never changed your own strings out before and are just kind of new at it. But that's some of the methods that I've been using for a lot of years. So anyway guys, that's about enough chit chat for this particular video. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and for checking out the video. Again, I'm Walt Moore, also go by the name Dan Wilson. Most of my subscribers know that by now. Once in a while I get a new viewer, a new subscriber. I got kind of a two-name thing going on. Dan Wilson's been a little stage name I've used for a lot of years. Anyway, thanks for checking out the video. If you guys are new here and you have yet to subscribe to the channel, I strongly encourage you to do so. Always mention that subscribe link is right on that little corner, just a little yellow thing right over there. Just scroll over there and click on that. It doesn't cost you a thing to subscribe, and I'd appreciate it. And if you like the type of stuff I put out there, be sure and hit that like button for me. And I will check in with you guys on the next video. You guys take care and God bless. See you later.